The small alien girl lay still, her thin body hidden beneath broken wires and sharp metal pieces. The crashed pod smelled like smoke and burned plastic. Her skin, pale blue and soft like moonlight, was stained with ash and oil, her glowing violet. I stared at the strange figure outside. It was tall, strong, and walked on two legs like the ones from the stories. Like the monsters, like the humans. She held her breath, heart racing. The human moved closer. Stepping carefully through the wreck, he had red on his gloves, not paint. Not rust blood. He had fought something before he came here. Maybe he had already eaten one of the others. Maybe she was next. She curled into herself, shaking. She was too small to fight, too weak to run. She had no weapons, no voice strong enough to scream, and in this strange land, no one would come to save her. They had all left her behind, like trash. The human stopped just outside the pod. He didn't speak, didn't smile. He just crouched low and pulled something from his pack. It was round, wrapped in old cloth, steaming softly. Food. The smell was strange spices. Warmth, salt. The girl's stomach twisted, not in fear, but hunger. She hadn't eaten in 2 days. Still, she didn't move. "Hey," the man said softly, his voice deep and slow. "I saw your ship fall. Didn't think anyone survived." The girl blinked, unsure what the words meant, but she understood his tone. Not angry, not cruel. Just tired. He placed the food down on a piece of clean cloth and pushed it gently toward her. Then he backed away, sat on a nearby rock, arms resting on his knees, watching her, not like prey, like he was waiting. The girl stared at the food, confused. Was it a trick? Was there poison inside? Was he just feeding her so she would get fat, tanned, tastier? She crawled forward slowly, eyes never leaving him. Her fingers touched the warm bundle, unwrapping it just a little. It was soft bread, cooked with bits of meat and something sweet. Her nose twitched, her body desperate for it. But her mind still screamed, "Don't trust him." Still. She took a bite. The flavor exploded in her mouth. Her eyes watered from the taste. She couldn't stop, bite after bite. She ate faster now, as if the food might vanish. She forgot to be afraid for a moment. The man smiled a little, but didn't speak. He just sat there in the fading light, letting her eat in peace. When she finished, the girl wiped her mouth with the back of her tiny hand, then looked up at him, confused. Why hadn't he attacked? Why hadn't he grabbed her, or caged her, or hurt her? She stood, wobbling, and took one shaky step forward. Her voice was small, broken. She only knew a few human words, but she tried. "Why? Eat me," she asked. The man blinked, surprised by her question. Then he shook his head, almost laughing. "Eat you? Kid, I'm not a monster." The girl tilted her head. Her horns shimmered under the orange sky. "Humans eat little ones like me," she whispered. "It's what we were told." The man looked down, rubbing his face with a hand. "I don't know who told you that," he said quietly, "but I won't hurt you." He reached into his bag again and pulled out a soft cloth, offering it to her. "For your hands," he said. She took it slowly, touched it to her fingers. Clean, soft, gentle. Not a weapon, not a trap. Just kindness. They sat in silence for a while, the sun slowly sinking behind the black trees. The air turned cold, but the human didn't leave. He just stayed near. Not too close, but not far either. Watching the shadows, guarding her without saying it. The girl leaned against the metal of her broken pod, her eyes heavy, her body tired, and her fear less now, still there, but quieter. Maybe? Just maybe. This human wasn't like the others. Maybe the stories were wrong. Maybe this was the beginning of a different story. One where she wasn't food, one where she was safe. The human's footsteps were slow, careful, as he carried the tiny alien. Girl through the woods, she didn't fight him, didn't scream. But her large eyes never stopped watching the path, the trees. The sky always ready to jump if she had to. Her arms were wrapped tightly around the warm food cloth he'd given her. She didn't know why she trusted it. But it felt safe, like him. Maybe they walked for a long time. Through tall, dark trees with long arms, the girl didn't recognize this forest. It smelled wild and full of hidden things, alien things. But the humans seemed to know where to go. Soon, they reached a structure old and quiet, half covered in vines and dust. Not a big house, but not broken like her pod. Metal walls, a thick door, blinking lights that flashed red, green, then opened with a buzz. The humans stepped inside. Welcome. To home, I guess, he said softly. The girl stood at the doorway. Afraid to enter, he didn't force her, didn't pull her in. He just waited, standing aside, giving her space. After a long minute, she stepped in, slow like a kitten. Her glowing violet eyes scanned everything, shelves with tools, boxes, old weapons, strange machines, one small bed in the corner, a fire glow box, and two chairs that didn't match. It wasn't beautiful, but it felt warm. The human pointed to a soft pad near the heater. You can rest there if you want, he said. She didn't move, not yet. He poured water into a cup and handed it to her. She sniffed it, checked it, then drank it all without a word. Time passed slowly. The man didn't ask her name, didn't tell her his. He just let her be. That night, she curled up on the pad, holding the food cloth tight to her chest. The heater buzzed gently beside her. The human sat near the door, polishing his knife, eyes half closed, but always alert. Then, deep into the night, came a sound, a low thumping, like heavy feet in the trees. The girl's eyes snapped open, her skin glowing faintly in fear. She wasn't the only one the pod carried. She wasn't the only one who escaped. The human stood, weapon in hand, his body stiff, listening. Something moved outside, breathing, sniffing, circling. I'll check it out, he whispered, more to himself than her. He slipped outside, silent as a shadow, closing the door behind him. But the girl couldn't stay. Something deep in her heart whispered, they found me. She stood, trembling, and followed him into the night. The air was cold, and her bare feet touched the sharp earth. She walked toward the sound, hiding behind trees, moving like wind. Then she saw it, not just the human, but the creature. It was big, ugly. Skin like wet stone, with 6 clawed legs and yellow eyes. It hissed, crouched low, ready to leap. It wasn't after the man. It was sniffing the air, mouth open, tongue tasting the wind. It was after her. She gasped, and the creature turned, its eyes locking onto hers. The man spun around too. He saw her, saw the danger. No, he shouted. The beast lunged fast, deadly. The girl froze, heart screaming, body stuck. But the human moved faster. He jumped between her and the monster, swinging his blade. The steel met the creature's skin with a crack, sparks flying. It howled in pain, stumbling back, then lunged again. The human fought like he'd done it before. Every move, sharp, strong, deadly. But the monster was strong too. One claw slashed across his arm, tearing his jacket, blood soaking through. Still, he didn't back down. The girl's hands trembled, her eyes wide. And something inside her changed. She didn't want to run anymore. Not while he was bleeding for her. She stepped forward and screamed a strange, high sound full of energy. Her skin lit up, bright like a beacon. The monster paused, confused, and the man took the chance, driving his blade deep into the creature's neck. It dropped dead, twitching on the ground. Silence. The girl stood frozen. Light fading from her skin, the man turned to her, breathing hard, blood on his cheek. "You okay?" "Huh," he asked. She nodded slowly, still shaking. "You follow?" he said. "Why?" She looked down, her voice barely a whisper. "Because." "It came for me." The man knelt, pressing cloth to his arm. "You shouldn't have come out," he said. But his voice wasn't angry. Could have been killed. She looked at him with wide, guilty eyes. "You saved me." He looked at her for a moment, then stood and offered her his hand. "Let's get back before another one shows up." She took his hand, small fingers curling around his large, rough ones, and together they walked back through the dark, not as strangers anymore, but as something closer, something neither of them understood yet. The tiny alien girl sat near the heater again, her knees pulled close to her chest. Her skin no longer glowed, but the fear hadn't left her. She kept watching the human across the room. He was sleeping now finally, after wrapping his injured Damn-Deset arm. His chest rose and fell slowly, calm and tired, but she couldn't sleep. She stared at the door. The world outside was dark and cold. Dangerous, yes, but maybe still safer than this strange human place. She didn't belong here. She didn't understand him, and she didn't understand herself anymore. Why had she followed him into the woods? Why had she screamed at the monster instead of hiding? Why had her skin lit up like that, like fire beneath water? She didn't know, but she needed answers. Quiet as a shadow, she stood. Her feet touched the ground with no sound. She reached for the door, pressed the button, the lock clicked open. The girl stepped outside into the dark forest again. The trees looked bigger at night, and the cold bit at her bare arms. Still, she walked, her small feet finding their way through mud and roots. She followed a strange pull, deep inside her chest. Something was calling her. Then she saw it, a familiar shape. Half buried in the dirt, a piece of her crashed pod, round and broken, glowing faintly beneath moss and vines. She ran to it, touched its surface. It lit up at her touch, recognizing her. Soft hum filled the air, and the metal opened slightly. Inside was a Devisa memory crystal, small and blue. Her hands trembled as she picked it up. When she did, a flash of light poured from it. A soft female voice echoed around her, speaking in her own language. Subject Type 9, Miniform Hybrid, designed for observation and bond testing. Assigned to Human Trade Vessel 447. Under disguise protocol, memory wipes complete. The girl gasped, her eyes wide. She wasn't just a lost child. She wasn't even just a slave. She was created for something, given false memories. Her whole life had been a lie. She was made to study humans, sent to see how her kind could connect with them. But something went wrong. The ship crashed, and she lost her past. Until now, tears rolled down her cheeks. Not because she was afraid anymore, but because she didn't know who she was. She dropped the crystal and backed away. "No," she whispered. "No, no." Her voice shook. Then a sound behind her branch snapping. She spun around, eyes glowing in fear. But it wasn't a monster. It was him. The human stood there, shirt half-buttoned, eyes full of questions. "You ran," he said quietly. "I woke up, and you were gone." She looked down, ashamed. I needed to know," she said softly. "I thought I was just nothing." He stepped closer, saw the memory device on the ground. He didn't touch it, didn't ask more, just looked at her. "You found something?" he asked gently. She nodded, barely able to speak. "I was made," she whispered. "Made. 2. Watch humans, not real girl. Just tool." The human knelt in front of her, meeting her eyes. "You're real to me," he said. "You bleed, cry, laugh. You saved my life. Remember?" "You're not a tool." She stared at him, blinking. "But I was supposed to study you," she whispered. "I was." Sent to be near humans. So, Squin, he said, shrugging. Maybe you were sent, but you chose to stay. That made her pause. She had chosen to stay, hadn't she? She hadn't run when the beast attacked. She hadn't left even after she was safe. She'd followed him, eaten his food, slept in his shelter. Even now, in this forest, she hadn't gone far. She had come here searching for truth, not escape. She looked at him again, really looked. Rough beard, tired eyes, kind voice. She wasn't scared of him anymore. I think I want to stay, she whispered, even if I wasn't made for it. The man smiled slightly. Good, he said, because I already built you a bed. She laughed a small, sweet sound, like wind chimes in the dark. Her fear faded for a moment, but deep in the forest. Something else stirred. The memory crystal blinked red once and sent out a signal. To someone, somewhere far away, they knew she was alive now. They knew she remembered, and they were coming. But she didn't know that yet. She just followed the human back through the trees. Her hand holding his, a little tighter this time. Asterisk, the days passed slowly after that night. The little alien girl no longer watched the human with fear. She followed him, now quiet, curious, like a small shadow that never left his side. He gave her a name. Mira means light, he told her. Fits you. She liked the way it sounded. She'd never had a name before, not one someone spoke with kindness. They worked together each day. He fixed broken tech. She helped sort wires and clean tools. Sometimes she sat by the heater and asked strange questions. Why don't humans have horns? Why do you close your eyes when you laugh? Do you like me being here? He always answered patiently, and when she asked the last one, he looked her in the eyes and said, Yes, I do. Myra smiled for hours that day. But not everything was calm. Something was wrong with the human's arm, where the creature had scratched him. The wound wasn't healing. It had turned darker, swollen, and hot. He tried to hide it from her, but she noticed everything. You're sick, she said one morning, touching his arm gently. He winced, then nodded. I'll be fine, he said, lying, but that night he collapsed. His body shook, face pale, sweat dripping from his skin. Mira screamed and ran to him, her tiny hands pressing against his chest. Wake up. She cried, Please, wake up. He groaned, but didn't open his eyes. His breathing was rough and heavy. She didn't know what to do. She had no medicine, no tech to heal him, and the forest was too dangerous to search at night. She sat beside him, her heart full of panic. Tears rolled down her cheeks as she held his hand. No, don't go, she whispered. I was made for humans. And now I've finally met one who's good. She didn't want to lose him. She didn't want to be alone again, and as her tears fell onto his skin, something strange happened. Her veins began to glow, brighter than ever before. Her chest burned. With energy, it moved through her arms, into her hands, into him. A wave of soft blue light flowed from her fingers. The human's body stopped shaking. His breath calmed. His skin lost some of its heat. The infection was fading, but Mira screamed in pain. Her small body trembled. Her glow flickered. She was giving something her energy, her life. But she didn't stop. He had saved her. Now it was her turn. When the light faded, she collapsed beside him, unmoving. Weak breath, shallow in the morning. He woke up, blinking in confusion. His arm was better. The pain was gone. The infection vanished. But beside him, Myra lay still, eyes closed, glowing softly like embers after fire. He picked her up gently, heart pounding. Mira. He whispered. Mira, please. She stirred. Just a little. I didn't let you die, she whispered, her voice like air. Don't let me die either. Tears filled his eyes. You won't, he said. I swear. He laid her back on the heater pad and wrapped her in warm blankets. He made soup, fed her tiny drops, kept her warm every few hours. He checked her breathing, her glow, her heart. And after 2 days, she opened her eyes again. "I'm hungry," she said, and smiled weakly. He laughed through his tears. "You scared me," he said. "Don't ever do that again." "You're not allowed to die," she whispered. "Not until I tell you more questions." But even as they smiled, something dark watched them from the forest, a drone hidden in the trees. Silent, blinking, recording. It had seen the light, the healing, the power she had used, and it sent a message across the stars. Target located, Type 9 hybrid, confirmed. Active, prepare extraction, dead or alive. But Myra and the human didn't know that yet. For now, they only had each other. A girl made to observe. And a man who saved her, connected by more than chance, by choice. Myra stood in front of the cracked mirror in the human's old bathroom. She tilted her head, studying the faint new lines on her skin. They weren't wounds, and they didn't hurt. They glowed faintly, like silver veins slowly spreading across her arms and collar. She traced them with her fingers. Confused, they looked almost human, but she was not human, was she? Outside, the man whom she now called Jace was cooking. He had just returned from the forest, bringing back herbs and roots. Myra hadn't told him yet. She wasn't sure how. Something was happening inside her, and it began after she healed him. She looked at her reflection again. Her eyes had changed to less violet, more green mixed in now, and her body felt different. Stronger, warmer, more alive than before. Later that night, she sat by the heater while Jace placed a plate in front of her. She picked at the food slowly. "Jace," she said, "can I ask something?" "Of course," he said, sitting across from her. "What? What if someone was changing?" she asked. "Not outside. Inside too." He raised an eyebrow, like growing up. She shook her head. "No, not like that. Like becoming something else, something not planned." He looked at her closely. "What's going on, Myra?" he asked gently. She hesitated, then pulled up her sleeve. He leaned forward and saw the silver lines. They shimmered in the low light, curling around her arm like roots or circuits. His eyes widened. "Those weren't there before," he said. "No," she whispered. "They came after I healed you, my body. It's changing, and I don't know why." Jace didn't speak for a long time. Then he stood, walked to one of the shelves, and pulled out a strange scanner. "Let me check something," he said. Myra sat still while he scanned her. The device beeped, blinked, and showed strange symbols. Jace frowned. "What does it say?" she asked quietly. He turned the screen toward her. "There's something inside you," he said, "something old and hidden. A biological programment to react to contact with human DNA." She stared at him, confused. "What does that mean?" "It means you weren't just made to study humans," he said slowly. "You were made to bond with one." Her heart skipped. "Bond?" she whispered. "Like, be part of one." "Maybe," he said. "Or evolve with one, this silver. In your veins it's merging traits, Myra. You're becoming something between alien and human." She looked down at her arms. "I didn't ask for this," she said softly. "I didn't choose to be changed." He knelt beside her, his voice calm. "No," he said, "but you chose to save me. You chose to stay, whatever's happening. It's because of you, not just because of what they made you to be." She looked into his eyes. "You're not afraid?" "No," he said. "Are you?" "Yes," she whispered, "but not of my body. I'm afraid of who will come when they find out." He nodded slowly. "They're coming, aren't they?" "Yes," she said. "I felt it. In my blood, in my mind. They know I healed you." Jace stood and began checking the weapons on the wall. Old rifles, knives, energy. "Grenades? We'll be ready," he said. But Myra shook her head. They won't just come with guns, she said. They'll come with lies. They'll tell you I'm dangerous, or broken, or stolen, and they'll try to take me back. Then they'll have to go through me first, Jace said, his voice sharp and clear. She blinked, her chest warm again. This man he wasn't her mission, her test, or her subject. He was her protector, her anchor, her choice. But deep in her heart, she knew. Not everyone would let her choose, somewhere above the sky. Ships were already moving. Her creators were watching, planning. They didn't care if she had feelings now, didn't care if she had changed. To them, she was still an experiment, still property, and they would come to take her soon. Mira stood up slowly and walked to Jace. If they hurt you, she whispered, I'll burn them. I don't know how, but I will. He looked at her for a moment, then placed a hand on her head gently. I believe you, he said, but we're going to survive this together. Outside, the wind howled through the forest. Somewhere in the darkness, machines were listening, watching, waiting. The girl who was never meant to be real had become something else. Not just an alien, not just a tool, but a spark of something new. And the galaxy was not ready for her. Asterisk, the sky cracked open like glass. Jace saw it first, a line of light tearing through the stars. Then a deep humming filled the forest, low and cold. The ground trembled beneath his boots. Mira stood beside him, her glowing eyes locked on the sky. They're here. She whispered, they found me. A massive black ship appeared above the trees. Floating silently, its surface shimmered with blue patterns, sharp and alive. Smaller ships broke away from it, gliding toward the earth like vultures. No sound, no warning, just speed and silence. Jace grabbed his rifle and moved fast. He had planned for this: barriers, traps, hidden launchers buried around the shelter. But looking at Mira's face, he knew. This wasn't just a battle, it was a message. The ship wasn't coming for a fight. It was coming for her, to claim her like a lost tool, to erase her like a mistake. Mira stepped forward, her silver-lined skin glowing brighter than ever. I won't go back, she said, voice shaking. I'm not theirs anymore. Jace stood beside her, loading a charge into his weapon. Then we make sure they understand that. The first wave landed hard metal creatures with sharp legs and glowing red eyes. Not soldiers, but machines built to retrieve cold arms. No mouths, no hearts. They moved fast through the trees. Jace fired first. His energy shot hit one. Clean in the chest, the thing exploded, metal flying into the air. Mira leaped forward, her body lighting the forest with pale fire. She didn't know how she moved so fast, but her instincts told her what to do. She raised her hands, and a burst of energy flew from her palms. 2 more machines dropped, broken and steaming, but more kept coming. They surrounded the shelter, crawling over rocks and trees like insects. Mira stood in the center, lights swirling. Around her body, the air buzzed with heat and tension. Then the real danger came. A figure dropped from the main ship, tall and armored in silver-black metal. Not a machine, but a being, her creator. His voice echoed across the trees without a speaker. Myra, Type 9 hybrid, returned to command. She clenched her fists. No, she said. I'm not your tool anymore. You were never meant to evolve. The voice replied. You were meant to observe and report. You disobeyed, I chose, she said. That makes me real. Jace stood behind her, aiming at the armored figure. She's not going anywhere, he said, so back off. The figure turned its glowing eyes toward him, a human. It said flatly, this creature is beneath you. Mira stepped forward, her voice rising. No. You are beneath him, she said. He gave me a name. He gave me freedom. He gave me a choice. The figure raised its hand, and a wave of force slammed into her chest. She flew backward, crashing through a wall of the shelter. Jace yelled and ran to her, firing again and again, but the bullets bounced off the figures. Armor like dust, Myra groaned, crawling from the rubble. Her body ached, her light flickering. The lines on her skin glowed deep blue now, pulsing fast. Her heart burned not from pain, but from fury. They would take everything from her if she let them. Her freedom, her name, herself. She wouldn't let them. Jace helped her stand. I'll hold him off. He said, run if you have to. No, she whispered. We stand together. Then she took his hand. Her glow spread into him, like it had that night when she healed him. But this time, it wasn't just healing. It was connection. Jace felt strength rush through his arms. His body moved faster, lighter, sharper. The bond between them, half alien, half human, was now complete, together. They faced the armored figure. Jace fired, and Mira struck with waves of energy. The ground shook with light and sound. The trees caught fire from the heat, machines burned, and the sky flashed with color. The figure stumbled back, surprised. This is not possible, it growled. But Myra stood tall, eyes glowing like twin stars. You created me to learn from humans, she said. Well, I learned how to fight. She launched one final blast pure energy from her heart. It hit the figure square in the chest, cracking its armor. Jace fired right after one last shot into the open crack. The figure exploded in a cloud of sparks and broken metal. Silence followed. The remaining drones stopped moving. Their leader gone, the skyship above pulled back, slowly retreating into the clouds. The fight was over for now. Mira fell to her knees, breathing hard. Jace rushed to her, holding her gently. You okay? He asked. She nodded weakly. I think I finally know who I am, she said. He smiled, brushing her hair back. And who's that? She looked up at him, her eyes filled with strength. I'm Mira, she whispered. Not a weapon, not an experiment. Just Mira. But far above, deep in the stars, others were watching, and they would not give up so easily. Smoke still rose from the trees. The battle was over, but the forest felt heavy. Like the world itself was holding its breath, Jace sat beside Mira on the broken steps of the shelter. Her body was weak, her skin dim. The silver lines now calm and steady, but she was alive. He wrapped a blanket around her small shoulders. You should rest, he said softly, but Myra shook her head. If I sleep now, she whispered, what if they come again? Jace looked at the sky, still glowing faintly from the battle. They won't, he said. Not yet, anyway. They didn't expect you to fight back. She nodded, but her eyes stayed on the stars. Kayleigh return, she said, stronger, smarter. I wasn't supposed to survive. Jace placed a hand on her head. Gently. But you did, he said. And now they're afraid of that. Suddenly, a soft hum filled the air, again different this time. Not cold like the enemy. Ships, but soft, warm, almost like music. Above them, a new craft appeared sleek. Silver, glowing with pale light. Myra stood quickly, panic in her eyes. No, she said, more of them? But Jace held her arm. Wait, he said. This feels different. The craft descended slowly, landing in the open field beyond the trees. Its doors opened without sound, and from the light, figures stepped out, not soldiers, not machines, but beings who looked like her, same skin, same eyes, but older. Wiser. Mira froze, confused. One of them stepped forward, wearing a long cloak with glowing symbols. She spoke gently in Mira's language. You have awakened the ancient bond. She said, the others wanted you destroyed, but we have been watching from far away. Myra's lips trembled. Who are you? We are what came before, the woman said. We built the program that made you. Not for war, not for control, but to begin something new. Jay stepped closer, keeping Mira behind him. "Are you here to take her away?" T asked coldly. The alien woman shook her head. "No," she said. "We are here to witness, not control." She is bonded beyond all expectations. She chose freely. That is sacred. Myra stepped out slowly, "But I don't understand. Why me?" The elder smiled softly. "Because you were small, because you were overlooked, and because you had the heart to choose love instead of fear." Myra looked up at Jace, her small hand finding his. "I don't want to go anywhere," she said. "This is where I feel real." The elder nodded. "Then stay." She said, "You have earned your place." Another alien stepped forward and gave Mira a small silver ring. "It holds your origin memory," he said, "but also your right to be free." Mira took it gently, holding it close to her chest. Her hand shook, but her heart felt calm. She had never expected this, not respect, not peace. But here it was. As the aliens turned to leave, the elder paused. "More will come," she warned. "Others who still believe you are a threat. But remember, your bond is your strength, and no weapon is greater than a will that refuses to break." Then the ship lifted back into the sky, gone within. Moments, Mira stood still for a long time. Jace watched her arms crossed, waiting. Finally, she looked at him and smiled. "Do you think I could stay here with you?" She asked, not as a guest, but as part of this place. Jace smiled. "You already are," he said. "This is your home now." They worked side by side over the next days, repairing the shelter, clearing the burned trees, building new walls. Jace taught her how to cook more food. Mira showed him how her hands could now heal plants. Together, they created something more than survival. They created life. And in the quiet nights, they sat by the fire, Mira resting her head on his shoulder, not because she was tired, but because it felt right. She had feared he would eat her. She had feared he would use her, but instead, he had given her a name, a voice, a future, and somewhere deep in the stars, where watchers and weapons still planned in silence, a new story had begun, one they hadn't written. The story of a small alien girl and a human who refused to be her master, a man who simply saw her and said, "You're enough, just as you are."